Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would please present your bill.
Thank you. And you have this. Yeah, you have this microphone on. Members of the committee, what I'd like to do this afternoon is just take just a moment and remind everybody what we have. Last year, there were two companion pieces of legislation introduced in the House and the Senate. Senate Bill 223 and House Bill 456 were the both sought to establish the Government Accountability Act, basically also known as the Sunset Bill, so that there would be a committee formed to review the departments and report back the status of the same. That bill, if you recall, passed the Senate. 223 did pass our committee last year in the floor of the House. During the waning hours of the session, the conference committee got together. We did not get the conference committee report passed. Earlier this session, there was agreement on the conference report with just some minor changes to what this committee had passed, and the conference committee report was signed off of. The Senate has passed that. The House has not. There was an oversight in the conference committee report. So we have another vehicle today. So what we seek and what you have in front of you is LC 211679S, which is the language of the conference committee report for 223, which has been agreed to, with one change, the change that the House was looking for that we thought was in the original conference committee report that was not. And that change is simply on the last page to make, in Section 2, this act shall become effective immediately upon the signature of the governor. So what we seek to do is pass 456 so we can move it through the House, move it to the Senate for passage, and take it to the governor for fast signature, get this process started. If we wait till July 1st, we just kill about a third of the time the committee would have to look at agencies this year 2012. So what we would do is ask you to pass by committee substitute the language you have in LC 211679. Now, if the chair would indulge me, I would just point out the differences that were agreed to in the conference committee report that would have been and would be explained to you should the conference committee report have been presented on the floor of the House. The differences then were in the original Bill 456. Basically, on lines 27 through 29 of page 2, there's been an agreement that one of the appointees from the Senate and one of the appointees from the House would be one of the governor's floor leaders. So basically it gives the governor, through their legislative representatives, a seat at the table in the Sunset Commission. That was agreed to. And it would also say that the co-chairs would be authorized to appoint no more than 2 additional ex officio members. So it would add additional legislative voices to it. There's some other language that talks about the House and the Senate. The Senate and House of Representatives, it adds language in cooperation with the Office of the Governor. May employ staff. Basically, we're trying to be inclusive in this process. While budgeting is a House function along with the Senate, we want to include the executive branch. This is very important to the state of Georgia. There's some other language that is cleanup language on the top of page 3. Makes clear that only departments subject in using state funds from the Appropriation Act would fall under the purview. And further, it talks that the committee would give public notice, prior to any proceedings. Some slight differences in the requirements for reporting that the agencies have are on lines 122 and 134 through 138. These were just worked out in talking with the agencies as the legislation moved forward. But essentially what you have is something very similar to what you had voted on previously in this committee and voted on and passed out of the House floor. We just, because of the oversight in making it effective immediately, need another vehicle to pass this and move this forward so that we can put this Sunset Commission, the Georgia Government Accountability Act, in place to look after the money of the citizens of Georgia. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd answer any questions, but would hope we can move today forward on House Bill 456 by committee substitute so that we could get this in place on the governor's signature.
Thank you, Representative Martin. Are there any questions? Any comments from the public? A motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Representative Martin. Passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, let me make clear on this. This was Representative Byrd's original legislation. She had a conflict today, so I think she deserves the appropriate credit for being the House sponsor of the measure last year and really stepping aside last year to support the Senate version. This will also be a credit to her and the author, Senator Legden, over in the Senate. So we look forward to it.
Duly noted. Thank you. But there'll be no further business. The committee stands adjourned.